He had a very short life, but in that short span of time, he had incredibly large body of work. उनको शायद मरने की काफ़ी जल्दी थी, इसलिए 19 साल की उम्र में उन्होंने लिखना शुरू किया और उसके बाद अगले 22 सालों में कुल 22 कलेक्शन ऑफ शॉर्ट स्टोरीज़, 3 एसेज के कलेक्शन, 7-8 फिल्मी कहानियाँ, एक नावल, कई सारे खत, 2 ब्रीफ स्केचेस के कलेक्शन, काफ़ी कुछ लिख डाला। और इसी के साथ साथ उन्होंने जो है अपने पीछे काफ़ी सारे मुकदमे छोड़े, 3 अच्छी खासी नौकरियां छोड़ी और 3 शहर छोड़े और फिर 43 साल की उम्र में उन्होंने दुनिया भी छोड़ दी। तो मंटो के बारे में अक्सर बहुत सी अच्छी और बुरी बातें कही गई हैं। तो मंटो आखिर क्या थे? मंटो अनार्किस्ट थे, रेबेल थे, बागी थे, सेडिस्ट थे, मैसोकिस्ट थे, प्रोग्रेसिव थे, रियलिस्ट थे, क्या थे? तो इस तरह का एक सवाल जो है पाकिस्तान के एक क्रिटिक मोहम्मद अली सिद्दीकी से जब किया गया, तो उन्होंने कहा था कि मंटो जो है वो उर्दू की दुनिया की एक ऐसी दुनिया है जो उसी के साथ पैदा हुई और वो उर्दू फिक्शन में एक ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़ की तरह आया। तो जावेद साहब, मैं आप सभी से पूछना चाहूँगी, जावेद साहब आपसे शुरू करती हूँ कि जो ब्रेकिंग न्यूज़ था ये क्या नई बात कहने की कोशिश कर रहा था?
Hello everybody. Could you please give at least some kind of an impression that you are listening? I'll be very thankful. There's so much of conversation in the hall that one feels we are disturbing them. What do you say of Minto? Minto is obviously very high profile, very attractive, very interesting, and if you are high profile, if you are interesting, if you are popular, then you will be inevitably controversial also. So he's controversial too because perhaps he is pushing the envelope. Every story, every short story was pushing the envelope of our so-called morality, challenging the taboos, making us face certain not so pleasant realities of our times and so on. But, you know, whenever we talk of Manto, suddenly we start talking about those short stories that he has written about or around prostitutes and pimps and have some sexual connotation. Or if we take one more step, then we talk about his writings about the partition of India and the irony of the circumstances of that time and whatever happened. But we never discuss, at least in any of the seminars, I have never heard anybody talking about Manto's technique, his craft, which was impeccable. Content is obviously very important, but so is the craft, the form. Not many people are aware that Manto became a film writer first, and then he started writing short stories and started doing his literary work. To begin with, he was a professional writer. He used to write for films. Now, in those times, the standard of film writing was, to put it very mildly, was much better than today. But at the same time, films, somebody has said very aptly that the film dialogue should be like a poor man's telegram. Because you have a definite time, within 2 hours you have to say everything. You have captured audience, but at the same time, since it is audio-visual, every audio should take the visual forward, the story forward, the happening forward. So a good, competent scriptwriter learns the economy of words, learns to say much more in minimum words. I think Manto has not been appreciated. He remains unsung as far as the craft of his short stories are concerned. We have wonderful writers, but you see, brevity has never been the virtue of our culture. And particularly in Urdu, it was exaggerating or using more words was almost like fine art. So in those times, and with that kind of virtue, comes a writer who write with such brevity that you take a good story, an average story of Manto, you will not be able to cut down 2 lines. It was so very telegraphic. It was so tight and it was so focused. In comparison, if we see other writers who are very good, but they meander. I must accept that they are good writers. They are good writers. They meander in a very interesting way. They say wonderful things. But at the same time, they don't remain loyal to the plot all the time. Minto does that. I think high time that he should be appreciated as a craftsman of short story also.
मुशर्रफ आपने जो है कहा कि मंटो काफ़ी ओवररेटेड है. If you could speak about what's his legacy according to you.
मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि मंटो साहब को हम यहाँ पे हीरो वर्शिप करते हैं, पाकिस्तान में भी करते हैं, और he has a place in Urdu literature. But I'd like all of us to ask ourselves, what exactly do we worship when we talk about Manto's craft or Manto's fiction? Manto has some very unique strengths. For example, he can bring you into the action or the story itself in very few words, in just 3-4 lines, and you are right into the action. And you don't even realize that you are now involved in the story. So that's one strength. Another thing which Manto did, which nobody in his generation did, was he created a gallery of characters of a certain class with which Manto had dealings. And that, because he wrote so much, there is a long gallery of these very interesting characters who he has captured in his fiction. Having said that, if we are just talking about Manto as a craftsman and Manto as a writer, I'd like to say that Ghulam Abbas, who was one of Manto's contemporaries, Ismat Chughtai, who was writing around the same time, Muhammad Khalid Akhtar, who came much later, they were all finer craftsmen than Manto. And Javed Chaudhry Sahab has just discussed, the brevity as one of Manto's strong points. Brevity is fine, and when you're telling a short story, brevity is a virtue of a kind. But brevity itself cannot be a virtue. It's the ultimate. What's the end product? And I have come to this conclusion that most of the time, and even modern writers, many of our contemporaries also do that, they tend to curate the act of writing more than the end product. So somebody's saying that I write standing up, or I write sitting at an angle. That does not interest me at all. It's what you're writing that is of interest. So Manto's weaknesses, Manto keeps repeating himself, which can be forgiven because he was not always writing with a literary purpose in mind. He wanted an alcohol fix, so he had to churn out stories. So repetition is fine, but where Manto is really weak is in plotting, and there's no, except for a few short stories which are classics. Most of Manto's stories are very weak in craft, in technique. And he does not compare with Ismat Chughtai or Ghulam Abbas, who's a great master of Urdu literature. So what I'm saying is that if you're talking about writing as an act in itself and the short story as a great form of art, we do not talk about Ghulam Abbas. We do not talk about with the same fervor about Ismat Chughtai. We tend to focus on Manto. And why do we do that? Because Manto supposedly stood for certain liberal values. What are those values? Challenging the status quo, challenging, or becoming a person who is openly alcoholic and indulges, in some kind of things which are frowned upon in society. So talking about Manto as a writer, then I'd like to find out why don't we talk about these other people with the same passion. And another thing, people say Manto was very brave to talk about these things at the time. In those days, things were very easy. Societies were not radicalized. If a person was to write today in Pakistan or India about things that challenge the status quo or that poke people like Manto was trying to do, that person is far more brave and runs a greater risk the greatest risk Manto ever faced was a month in jail and, in a very comfortable sort of thing. So I don't think that Manto was brave in that sense. So, even this eulogizing should, focus on the circumstances in which Manto was writing. So these are, just some of the impressions that I have. Otherwise, I have respect for Manto. I've read all his work, and, there's something to be said about his work. But Manto as a person and Manto as a writer are two different things, and I think we have to make the differentiation when we talk about Manto. Thank you.
Manto had 6 court cases against him, and he's. But anyways,
Ajit
Ali,
here has 4.
Ali, do you think we've been partial to Manto? Do you think
May I
we've been
start
partial
by
to Manto?
agreeing with Mr. Farooqi on a point, because on rest of the points I disagree with him. So the area where we definitely agree that I think he has said something, it's a good observation, that with time the space of liberalism is shrinking. Yes, he's right, as a matter of fact, that perhaps it was easier to say bolder things, unconventional things in those times than it is today. It is ironical, but it is true. I mean, and who would know better than you people that what is happening? And it is happening in this whole subcontinent. On that point, I do agree with you, but people don't become big writers because they are very brave. Otherwise, anybody who can give a scandalous statement would be a great writer, and we would have a seminar on him. That's not right.
Javed sir, let's have Ali come in now. And, let's,
Okay, Ali साहब,
Ali,
आप हमारे
बताइए
मेहमान
क्या
हैं, आप
करूं
बोलिए।
मैं बात तो हो चुकी सारी अच्छा
Go.
okay I just want to start with an anecdote. I discovered Manto. I mean, I'd heard of Manto. I'd heard the sound of the word or the name Manto used in class. An English teacher I used to have at school while teaching us Romeo and Juliet. And, with those censored drawings where the breast of Juliet was covered with a flower or something, she would say, Beta, there are 2 writers you should never read. One is Ismat Chughtai and the other is Manto. And, we encountered these words like we would encounter things like don't do drugs, don't do this, don't do that. So there were these abstract, dark entities floating somewhere beyond our reach. My first experience of Manto's writing, happened by an accident. I was bored, I was in my house, I was probably chain smoking, I was a sort of indulgent teenager, bad-tempered, and I was looking in my father's room for something interesting to read. I must say that I was not a big reader. I must have been really bored or really angry about something. And I came across this little volume in English. It was called Stars from Another Sky. And it was a translation by Khalid Hassan of Manto's sketches, biographical sketches of his friends and acquaintances in the Bombay film world of the 1940s. And I was riveted. I started reading it and I was riveted. There was a wonderful piece about Noor Jahan. I was reading it again last night before this session. Just completely dazzling, so charming, so friendly, so full of vivid accounts of and as Musharraf has said, it takes him no time at all to get you into the action and into a place, and he's very good with those things. And I felt that this guy was a great memoirist and was a great writer, and I didn't know that this was the same Manto that I had been warned about, because the book was not covered in black. The book didn't have a dying partition body on it. The book, they didn't have a picture of Manto either. It had a picture of, I think, Nargis or somebody on the cover. It was many years later, when I went to college, that I was doing a seminar on post-colonial South Asian literature. Can there be legitimate English writing from South Asia ever? Because of, all those kinds of things. And there I was made to read Toba Tek Singh in Urdu. And I remember reading it and thinking, okay, so this is the Manto they didn't want us to read. And that sent me on a quest, on a search for Manto. And I must say that I haven't read all of his work, but I've read quite a lot of it, and I find that his non-fiction is where it's at for me. I find it to be some of the best, most interesting, and inventive and formally interesting stuff that I've read about my part of the world. And by that I mean not just Pakistan, I mean Bombay, I mean Delhi, I mean these places. I find that to be very valuable. I include in that his sketches of people who are so important, who've been so important to music in South Asia, who've been so important to drama and theatre, about the beginnings of the Bombay film world, about what it was like, about the life of the demi-monde, about these sort of, lost, marginal, ambitious characters. I was reading this amazing thing about Sitara Devi last night, and it feels so contemporary. In fact, if you read it, it feels like something that would be written today. It doesn't feel old or dated at all. Similarly, I think his letters to Uncle Sam are interesting. I don't think they are, I don't think they are his best work, and I don't think they're all equally wonderful, but I think they're very interesting. And I think some of his accounts, some of his almost like his diary-like dispatches about the days of the partition. When he's writing about himself, not when he's plotting it and describing what happens to this helpless woman, but when he's saying कि मैं बम्बई में था तो मुझे पता लगा कि अब वो प्रेशर पड़ गया है कि इसको निकालो, ये मुसलमान है यहाँ से, तो मैं फिर ट्रेन पे आया और कराची में झंडे यहाँ लगे हुए थे, मैंने देखा और मुझे लगा कि ये तो बम्बे है, मगर नहीं, बम्बे नहीं था, फिर मैं लाहौर आया, वहाँ शराब नहीं मिली, ये हुआ. That is very direct and very immediate, and in some ways it makes for a very interesting archive of the partition experience for people. And I just want to stress here, I want to say that I don't think that we should separate that from Manto's body of work in general, or sort of separate that from Manto's literature with a capital L, as it were. I think that those are all valid, artistic, creative pieces, and they're wonderful.
Just taking from where Javed साहब had left right now, अब कभी इंस्टीट्यूशन की अगर बात करें, वैसे तो काफ़ी एक निष्पक्ष, न्यूट्रल, सीधा साधा, मासूम सा शब्द है, पर इसके अंदर हमेशा कहीं ना कहीं एक डॉगमा या एक रूढ़िवाद का मॉन्स्टर हमेशा छुपा रहता है. तो मंटो की एक जो खास बात थी, उसने कभी भी अपने आप को इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज नहीं होने दिया, और इसीलिए शायद उस वक्त के प्रोग्रेसिव मूवमेंट के साथ उनके जो मरासिम थे वो हमेशा स्ट्रेस्ड और काफ़ी टेंस्ड रहे. Although his work has enough testimony, bears enough testimony to the fact that he himself believed in a socially engaged literature. But what remains contested is that whether he could belong to the progressive movement just the way it was prescribed, in the prescribed possible way. So, Javed Sahab, if you could just explain some of the contours of his relationship with the progressive movement of that time.
जी, पहले तो let me set the record right. I had not left, I was sacked. Now, let's come back.
I'm sorry.
Manto-esque.
So, you see, I started talking about his craft because I took it for granted that his content is appreciated and talked about many times. As a matter of fact, I'm happy that Farooqi Saab has not disagreed that he had brevity, but at the same time, he did say that here is a writer who has given us many interesting characters. I mean, not many writers in our language can boast of so many immortal characters. He died in 52, 53. Now you remember not only Toba Tek Singh, you remember Ishar Singh, you remember Ram Khilawan, you remember Mozel, you remember Shamshad of Kali Shalwar, and so on. It's a list of characters that have created an impact on our mind. And you cannot remember characters if you don't like the story or don't like the writing. It's not possible, because the character is within that writing. He was an exceptional writer, there is no doubt about it. And the very fact that he has a higher profile, Ismat Chughtai is becoming bigger and bigger by the day. She is being translated in other languages. She is a very, very fine writer, as a matter of fact. I mean, one cannot say that she is inferior to any writer in her language. Then, beside Manto, she is a challenge to anybody. And why challenge? This is not some kind of a heavyweight wrestling. There are writers, and all of them are, some of them are very good writers, and Manto is also one of the exceptionally good writers. Now, as far as the content is concerned, I mean, what he trying to say, why should he try to say anything? He is giving you a picture, a slice of life. What Mona Lisa is trying to say, what any good painting is trying to say, what a good scenery says, this is for you to understand, draw conclusions. When you see what is happening in life, 20 people draw perhaps 20 different conclusions. He every time shows you something which is true. Maybe quite often, I'll say that the truth is not convenient, because there is a great similarity between Ismat and Manto. They are able, they have such empathy and compassion that they are able, without being overwhelmingly sympathetic, because they have too much of respect for human beings to sympathize with them or to pity them. So they somewhere keep a distance. There is a certain objectivity, but they report what is happening. And their achievement is that they are able to make a connection between the reader and a character with whom reader in any case would not have empathized, would have developed some kind of contempt for this character. But they take that एक टूटा फूटा इंसान जिसकी मोरालिटी परफेक्ट नहीं है, जो गलत काम भी करता है, जो झूठ भी बोल लेता है, बेईमानी भी कर सकता है, लेकिन उसके पीछे आपको वो जो एक इंसान छुपा है, जिसमें दुख है, जिसमें दर्द है, जिसमें तन्हाई है, वो मंटो आपको दिखा लेता है। ऐसी ऐसी सिचुएशन में कि जहां आपको लगे कि यह आदमी कोल्ड ब्लडेड विलन है, इसके लिए एक बहुत डीप रूटेड फेथ इन बेसिक गुडनेस ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग एंड ह्यूमैनिटी चाहिए, जो एक बड़े राइटर की पहचान है, और वो मंटो में है। मंटो अगर कुछ और राइटर से ज़्यादा मशहूर है, उनसे ज़्यादा पॉपुलर है, तो कोई पीआर एजेंसी तो उसके लिए काम कर नहीं रही है। 60 साल बाद अगर आज आप उसका सेमिनार कर रहे हैं और गुलाम अब्बास का नहीं कर रहे हैं और नहीं करते हैं, तो ये आपको सोचना पड़ेगा, मेरी जिम्मेदारी नहीं है कि ऐसा क्यों होता।
मंटो के कुछ कैरेक्टर्स की अगर बात करें तो मोहम्मद हसन अस्करी जो है, उन्होंने कहा था मंटो के बारे में एक बार कि मैंने मंटो को देखा कि वो ऐसे ऐसे अजीब लोगों के साथ हफ्तों गुजारता था कि मुझे हैरत होती थी कि मंटो उन्हें बर्दाश्त कैसे करता है। और पर he always used to get his characters from the most oppressed classes, but they would be so diverse, so interesting. So, Musharraf, if you could speak of some of your favorite characters of Manto.
मंटो के बहुत सारे कैरेक्टर हैं, मुजील और कुछ हैं, नाम इस वक्त याद नहीं आ रहा, है शॉर्ट मेमोरी इन सम केसेस, लेकिन I'll tell you this, the general impression that I got from reading Manto was that he was slightly misogynistic, and I could be wrong, but you know, it's something that I was recently discussing this with Urvashi Butalia, and she also agrees that you know there is this slightly misogynistic trend in Manto's writing, which is you know, I mean, it's all right for a writer, you know, if it's creating something with that point of view. But it does exist, and you know, it's an undercurrent, and sometimes we think of it as something which is unexplored. And you know, here is somebody talking about a certain aspect of sexuality or you know, human relationships. But what is sometimes happening in that is that a latent current of misogyny is also flowing with that. So this is, you know, something that I'd like to say. And going back to Mr. Javed Chaudhry Saab's thing that it's about this thing about Ghulam Abbas. I don't differentiate between writers, and I don't differentiate between generations of writers, and I don't, you know, I translate contemporary Urdu writers from India. Because I don't believe in this, you know, a writer belonging to a nation state. So this is, you know, something that I feel that if we are not discussing Ghulam Abbas, it's a collective failure. It's not, you know, my failure as, you know, somebody from a particular generation, or, you know, your virtue as somebody from a particular generation. It's you know, Urdu literature is you know, a collective body of work, and I feel that we are jointly responsible for, you know, not focusing on literature for the right reasons.
Ali, you wanted to come in at some point.
So I think that I don't know actually. Shall I introduce a new dimension? Shall we say into the Manto story? Okay. So I think that one way of looking at Manto is to ask what kind of writer he was. What were his impulses as a writer? And I found that Manto was the mode that came most naturally to him was irony. I think this is one way of looking at Manto, looking at both his strengths and his weaknesses, and also it's one way of looking at his longevity of why he continues to be talked about today. Look, I think that, we talk about Manto because we find that there are 2 or 3 lines in his letters to Uncle Sam that seem to anticipate what is going on today in Pakistan vis-a-vis America, right? When he says that you should, oh Uncle Sam, you should really, क्या है कि वो आप हमारे मुल्ला को जो है आप ज़रूर पैसा दीजिए और हथियार भी इनके हाथ में पकड़ा दीजिए. अब वो शायद नहीं एंटिसिपेट कर रहे कि एक अफगान जिहाद होगा 80s में, उसमें जो है वो जनरल ज़िया आएंगे, फिर वो अमेरिकनों को चाहिए होगा रशिया को कंटेन करने के लिए, इस तरह से होगा. शायद वो इस डिटेल में नहीं देख रहे हैं, मगर अगर आप वो सारे चचा साम के नाम जो खतूत हैं उनको पढ़ें तो उसमें वो शुरू से लेके एंड तक आयरनी ही चल रही है. आयरनी है, सैटायर है. इसी तरह मंटो ने जो पार्टीशन के बारे में स्टोरीज लिखी हैं, इट्स more than sort of, earnestness, more even than a kind of direct pathos. You will find irony is what comes most naturally to him as a way of undermining conventional narratives. He uses irony again and again. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work. And I think this is important. Sometimes his helpless irony makes him a sensationalist, for example. Like his famous story, Thanda Gosht, which continues to be famous, I think, for all the wrong reasons. It's a famous story because teenagers in Pakistan, certainly when I was at school, wanted to read it because, उसमें कुछ ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो कि पढ़ के बस पागल हो जा. छोटी सी भी थी इसलिए शायद आसानी होती है नालायक लोगों के लिए को पढ़ने में, मगर वो ये है कि आप उसको पढ़ते हैं और वो एक बड़ी, it's a high pitched, high intensity, it's like somebody's telling you a scandalous joke, and you're hooked because part of you feels disgusted and revolted, and also it's implausible. A lot of it is implausible. It's not very believable. The characters are not relatable. It's a quick, hot, racy little thing. But you want to read it because there's blood and depth and gore and sex and somebody's member is going to be cut. You like that kind of thing in it. And by the end of it, when you finished reading it and that shock, that final shock in the story, which is what makes it so amazing or so shocking, you feel exploited afterwards. After you finished reading it, you feel कि अच्छा ये चलो हो गई. उस तरह देख ली जैसे कि हम एक बहुत सेंसेशनलिस्ट किस्म की हॉरर मूवी देखते हैं. तो ऐसे मोमेंट्स भी हैं मंटो में. मैं कह रहा हूँ कि वो मंटो की हाईज एंड लोज भी जो है ना, वो मंटो की जो एक आयरनी की जो की आदत थी मंटो को एक आयरनी की, उस आदत ने मंटो को बहुत सी जो है वो फतेह भी हासिल हुई उस आयरनी से, और उसी आयरनी जो है उसने मंटो साहब को ख़राब भी काफ़ी किया.
वैसे मंटो की औरतों की अगर बात करें, इन्होंने कहा कि उर्वशी बुटालिया, या यहाँ पे भी 2 राय है कि एक फेमिनिस्ट डिस्कोर्स जो एक फेमिनिस्ट रीडिंग उसको मिसोजिनी का इल्ज़ाम लगाता है उन पे, जबकि यही पाकिस्तान की जो एक और फहमीदा रियाज जो पोएट है, उनका कहना था, उन्होंने लिखा था कि इट इज़ स्ट्रेंज दैट अदर राइटर्स स्पेशली इन उर्दू are so blind to the reality of women. They would not even notice bravery or intelligence in their female subjects. Even today, Manto stands more or less alone in the position that he takes on women. After Manto, there is no one like Manto. तो जावेद साहब, आप कुछ मंटो की औरतों के बारे में बताइए, उनकी फीमेल कैरेक्टर्स.
देखिए, दूसरों की औरतों के बारे में बात करना अच्छी बात है. फीमेल कैरेक्टर्स के बारे में ये तो ठीक नहीं है. नहीं, I'll come back to the point that again, maybe at the cost of repeating myself, I'll say that what you appreciate, that he is not trying to emotionalize things. He is not putting sentiments. He is not asking you to sympathize with this character or pity that character even worse. Now, he is reporting almost cold-bloodedly. And like the story you were talking about, Thanda Gosht, he was taken to the court for that short story because they thought it is obscene. It's a description of a rape. And then at what stage, what is the twist of the story, I don't want to talk about it. You must read it. It's a very good story. So many people say that Manto wrote about sex and he was vulgar because he was writing about sex. The fact is that one accusation that cannot be by at least an insane person can be put on Manto is titillation. You can perhaps accuse him that he is trying to put off people from sex,
Yeah.
but not exciting them, because he is so very ruthless, so clinical about it. And when he talks about it, when he was taken to the court once, he was asked, why do you write? Somebody asked him in the court, why do you write about prostitutes? He said, why do you have prostitutes in the society? As long as you have prostitutes, I will write about them. If you think it is vulgar, it is wrong, it is bad, eradicate prostitution in the society, I won't be able to write about them. Again, a question which remained unanswered. His relationship with progressive movement. That is also a strange relationship. It reminds me of a शेर, जो दूर जाए तो गम है, जो पास आए तो दर्द, न जाने क्या है वो कमबख्त आदमी देखो. So I think progressive writers and progressive writers movement had a very interesting relationship with Manto. If you are committed to any socio-political ideology, if there is any God, God may help you. Because there is a tendency of becoming Puritan. And I think as far as this three-letter word is concerned, sex, right, progressive writers movement also a bit conservative and Puritan about it. They were shocked by Ismat and they were shocked by Minto. But Ismat was perhaps by the virtue of the fact that she was a woman writer and she was writing about so very boldly about women's problem, it was not right to reject her. They had to accept her. But with Manto, they didn't want to take this responsibility because they were somewhere wary and scared of his boldness that he may write anything. And we will have, as a movement, we'll have to take the responsibility because their priorities and their goals were different. So he was always kept on the margin, on the fringe. Sometimes they owned him, sometimes they disowned him. There were conferences where it was said in as many words that such topics are not to be appreciated. Art should only talk of, literature should talk of class struggle and class differences and social injustice. But as a matter of fact, if you see, maybe it is not very obvious, it is not, Manto is not wearing it on his sleeve, but the fact is that ultimately Manto is writing about a particular class. And their agony, maybe he is not beating the pulpit. So somewhere, because he was a good writer, they had to accept that he's a good writer. And they had to accept they were writers, they were sensitive people, and they knew what is good literature. So they could never totally reject him also. But perhaps there was some kind of apprehension in accepting and owning him totally. That's what I feel.
If we can take Manto's relevance to another level, Ali, in one of your essays, you have called him the seer of Pakistan. You know, and in a very recent exchange of letters in the EPW, Economic Political Weekly, they had invoked Toba Tek Singh as a metaphor for the geopolitics in the subcontinent, and also about the predicament of the mental patients right now in the asylums. So tell us about this Manto-esque reality of Pakistan today.
I think, like I said, his letters to Uncle Sam are quoted a lot. People use that a lot to sort of suggest that Manto was a prescient writer, or that he had his finger on some pulse that other writers at that time were maybe not addressing in so direct and exciting fashion. Certainly, the letters to Uncle Sam have aged well, and I think that is something that is वो एक राइटर से आप वो चीज़ छीन नहीं सकते, वो ले नहीं सकते. अगर उनका काम जो है वो वक्त के साथ अंडरमाइन नहीं होता या अच्छा रहता है, जिस तरह के ये जो मंटो की जो खाके हैं, they are just utterly wonderful. They feel as fresh today as when they were written. But I think it's a tragedy of Manto, to use an overused phrase. I think it is one of the greatest tragedies of Manto that he has become a partition writer. Like I feel like the partition has, Javed Sahab indicated this, I think he's become consumed by the partition in retrospect. Certainly in Pakistan, इन्होंने कहा अभी कि कोई PR एजेंसी तो नहीं है, चले सर जी है PR एजेंसी तरह की एक, वो हम लोग हैं जो PR एजेंसी हैं, because you find this in especially in among westernized English speaking, English reading people who are not really able to read Urdu literature, who are not attuned to Urdu literature. They will I know many people who will readily respond to Manto because they feel, as Musharraf said, that Manto is somehow the poster child of their own struggles, and that comes from often a superficial reading or understanding of Manto. It doesn't come from a deep engagement with Manto. It can often come from this idea that, oh, Manto was persecuted like we are being persecuted now. Oh, Manto was tried for obscenity. It's hard for us to wear certain kinds of clothes or do certain kinds of things. Oh, so I relate to Manto. Or Manto must relate to me. Or Manto is my poet. Or my writer. There is a superficial, I feel, tagging of Manto. Like you tag people on Facebook. There's this tagging of Manto that's going on a lot these days in Pakistan. Not entirely superficial, but partly superficial.
But the idea of partition could also, it's just not about that particular event. जैसे तकसीम जो कहानी थी सियाह हाशिए में, it's about the symbolic repetition. I mean, this repetition of a fission of self, which could be totally,
I agree with you. And actually, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the work is bad. I'm saying that the tragedy of Manto is that the event of the partition has overtaken the work about the partition. So that we sort of, what we are feeling today about the partition, what our narratives are about, Aman Ki Asha or about Prem Ki Bhasha or whatever it is, we are imposing those aspirations, those prejudices, those ideas onto Manto without reading Manto. Without the story has an autonomy of its own. The work that he's written about the partition, as you say, the best of it is it goes beyond it takes on the event of the partition, but like all great literature, it ultimately transcends that particular historical happening. It could be about any kind of Taqseem, the Taqseem of the self, etc. I agree.
yeah, exactly.
I would like to ask something. I think my friends from Pakistan would be able to answer it. The best of his work, if we see, can be divided between Bombay and the partition. He was in Pakistan after the partition for almost 6-7 years. What did he do in that period of time? I have, I'm open for correction, but I am not aware of any good literature or important story written by him in that period. What happened to Manto in Pakistani society?
I mean, I completely disagree with that. Toba Tek Singh is, of course, written after the partition, and I think it is really one of his best pieces. I think it's extraordinary. But like I said at the beginning, I think that this obsession with the fiction of any writer, especially prose writers, is a recent development. I don't think that we should be hunting for his great short stories after the partition. Why not his diaries after the partition? Why not his letters after the partition? Why not his memoirs after the partition? Why not Siyah Hashiye, which really don't even count as, I don't know if you could call them short stories. They are not conventional short stories by any means. They are what he would describe as sketches.
But they are most of them are about partition, around partition.
Yes.
So that is what I'm saying, that these are two, you can say, periods. Bombay, where he has written about characters from the underbelly of Bombay society, and then the partition shook him very badly, and he has written a lot about partition. But then he died in 1955, so that gives him clear 6-7 years after that, after Siyah Hashiye. But there is a kind of a silence there. I have not seen any important work of Manto that has come from that period.
But the letters to Uncle Sam are from that period.
No, okay.
They are a completely direct commentary on what is happening at that time. Why don't we look at them? Why can't we give them the same weight that we give, say, to his short stories?
Did he write?
Why must it
did
be a
he
short
write those
story?
letters to be published?
Yes,
no,
they
it's
were.
just a matter of incident. He did not plan. They were not for public domain. What did he give to public domain?
They were published.
They made public. They were made public. That is different.
Also has something.
My own mother's letters have been published as a book, but she had not written those letters to be published.
Musharraf.
Ghalib had not written letters to be published.
There are many things he's written. I just want to say there are many things. He's written, for example, about the
I'm talking
evacuation.
of his literary endeavor.
But this is
This is-
literally,
no,
this is
I
what I'm
totally-
saying. This is
I
my
don't
point of
disagree, my
disagreement.
friend. I
Why
don't-
must it be a short story? Why must only fiction count? This is what I want to ask. He has written excellent things after the partition about, for example, the evacuee property heist. You know, the properties that were left behind by Hindus and Sikhs and other people who got up and went away. And about the ways in which those properties were up for grabs and about how actually he indicated, and no writer has really done any
Are
considerable
you
work on
suggesting
this.
that he was writing about partition for next 5, 7, 8 years?
So,
No.
but it's not about the partition. It is about, he's writing about his present circumstances, about how a group of people invites him and says, here's a factory, a nice factory that some Hindu has left behind, why don't you take it? And then they say, oh, but this man is a progressive, we will not give it to him. That's not about the partition in particular.
Let's
It's
also
not
talk a bit
set-
about the context of Manto's own life, personal life at that point in time, which was very, very difficult.
And he did.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. He wrote about that. I think that work, that's what I said in the beginning, is that for me, that part of his work is sometimes better, it reads better than his, sort of typically celebrated short stories.
Musharraf Javed Saab's question was also directed to you, so.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can tell you two anecdotes about Manto Saab. One told to me by a writer who I think is one of those great writers, Mohammad Khalid Akhtar Saab, and he had written his first novel, 2011, around the time that another one of his major works, which was later published. And Manto was his hero because, he was the more prominent writer of his time, and he took his work to show to Manto. And Manto was admitted in a hospital, and he left it, by his bedside, said, please take a look whenever you have an opportunity, and, please comment on this effort. So he returns to Manto and asks, did you get a chance to read it? And he said, yes, I read it, in a very disparaging way. So he said, what do you think about it? So he said, well, it's theek hai. So he said, oh, great, somebody like you, if you find it okay, it must be, I'm very pleased with that. And then he added that, of course, it cannot match your work, which is much superior. And, he meant it as, in a gracious way. And Manto replies that, oh, meri kya baat hai? मैं तो एक लाइन लिख दूं तो वो आर्ट हो जाता है. What about, how can you even compare yourself with me? If I just write a line, it becomes art. So this is the mind of the man who was called Manto. Another thing that he did was, in Lahore, where he was living, he would have a Tonga come to pick him up in the evening. And, it would come at a particular time, and he would sit in the Tonga, in a particular manner, and would, ride along the alley on the street, and just to, create this aura of a writer. So, yes, Manto's personality and Manto's work, we have to, look at that also sometimes, what kind of devils, were occupying his mind. Another thing about Manto is that, okay, it's spoken enough, I
Do you
think.
want to answer? Do you
I
have some
must
more
tell you a
anecdotes
very,
too?
Sir, sorry, I'm interrupting you again. But I must tell you a very interesting story about Manto. एक कोई particular publishing house था, तो उन्होंने एक serial शुरू किया था कि one writer would write a booklet about another and so on and so forth. Like Ismat Chughtai wrote about Majaz, Krishna Chandra wrote about some, perhaps K. Abbas or somebody and so on. तो मंटो को उसी पब्लिशर ने बुलाया और कहा कि अहमद नदीम कासमी जो कि एक बहुत बड़े शॉर्ट स्टोरी राइटर और बहुत ही अच्छे शायर थे, रियली अ लिटरेरी जायंट, लाहौर में ही रहते थे, कि हम चाहते हैं कि तुम नदीम कासमी के ऊपर एक लिख दो किताब. तो मंटो ने कहा, देखो, अहमद नदीम कासमी शराब नहीं पीता, अहमद नदीम कासमी जुआ नहीं खेलता, अहमद नदीम कासमी कोठे पे नहीं जाता है, अहमद नदीम कासमी गालियां नहीं देता है, वो शरीफ आदमी है. मैं कितनी बार ये सेंटेंस लिखूंगा, अहमद नदीम कासमी शरीफ आदमी है, अहमद नदीम कासमी बहुत शरीफ आदमी. मैं इसके ऊपर क्या लिख सकता हूँ? शरीफ आदमी पे खुद नहीं लिखा जा सकता.
बात है। तो मंटो ने ये भी लिखा था कि हर शहर में बदरुएं और मोरियां मौजूद है जो शहर की गंदगी को बाहर ले जाती हैं। हम अगर अपने मरमरी गुसलखानों की बात कर सकते हैं, अगर हम साबुन और लैवेंडर का जिक्र कर सकते हैं, तो उन मोरियों और बदरुओं का जिक्र क्यों नहीं कर सकते जो हमारे बदन का मैल पीती है। So at this note, I just want to open up open it up for all of you to ask questions to our panelists. So if there are volunteers around, they could just pass around the microphone. Please raise your hand, whoever wants to ask questions.
Q&A में मेरा एक्सपीरियंस हमेशा ये रहा है कि पहले 2 सवाल बहुत मुश्किल से आते हैं, उसके बाद हर एक के पास 2 सवाल होते हैं. तो somebody should bell the cat.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जावेद साहब, मेरा सवाल आपसे ये होगा कि क्योंकि मंटो का इब्तदाई दौर जिसे हम आज बॉलीवुड कहते हैं उस फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में गुजरा, आप बतौर स्क्रिप्ट राइटर, आप या सलीम भाई उनकी अदीबी जो महारत है उससे कितने मुतासिर हुए?
से कितने मुतासिर हुए? उससे कितने मुतासिर हुए?
देखिए, उनकी जो फिल्म जो शायद आपने भी देखी हो, एक तो मिर्ज़ा गालिब जो कि सोहराब मोदी ने प्रोड्यूस डायरेक्ट की थी, उसकी स्क्रिप्ट मंटो की थी. अनारकली जो फिल्मिस्तान ने बनाई थी, उसमें मंटो ने लिखा था. मंटो ने फिल्मिस्तान के लिए बहुत पिक्चरें की हैं, लेकिन ज़्यादातर तो वो फिल्में हैं जो मेरे होश से पहले की हैं. तो मैंने ये 2 पिक्चरें ज़रूर मैंने उनकी देखी हैं. लेकिन उनके जब आप ये गंजे फरिश्ते जो है, जिसमें उन्होंने कुछ स्केचेस लोगों के, फिल्म इंडस्ट्री के लोगों के लिखे हैं, तो उससे आपको ये मालूम होता है कि अशोक कुमार जो उस ज़माने के बहुत बड़े एक्टर थे, एस मुखर्जी बहुत बड़े प्रोड्यूसर डायरेक्टर थे, सितारा वॉज अ बिग स्टार, देयर वर मेनी पीपल जिनसे मंटो के बड़े 1-to-1 रिलेशनशिप है और बेतकल्लुफ़ी दोस्ती है. तो उससे ये मालूम होता है कि एज अ राइटर उनका स्टेटस, ये फिल्म इंडस्ट्री जो है वो बड़ी हायरार्की की जगह होती है. यहाँ ज़ात पात बिल्कुल है, कौन बड़ा है कौन छोटा है, किसकी क्या औकात है, ऊपर से सब ऐसे बोलते हैं हम एक हैं. तो वो ये आदमी का एक सर्टन स्टेटस, सर्टन वेटेज, सर्टन पोजीशन थी. ये बात बग़ैर उसके कहे मालूम होती है कि अगर वो इतने बड़े प्रोड्यूसर्स, बड़े स्टार्स, हीरोइंस, इनसे उसका इतना पर्सनल बेतकल्लुफ़ रिलेशनशिप है, तो इट मीन्स ही कैरिड सम वेटेज एज अ प्रोफेशनल राइटर.
There was someone in the front who wanted to ask something.
जावेद साहब और अली भाई, आप हैं कहाँ पहले? जी सिद्दीकी, यहाँ आपके सामने दूसरे लाइन पे. अस्सलाम वालेकुम.
And would you introduce yourself?
You know me, I think. A.K. Siddiqui, Anwar Kamal Siddiqui. I am a trilingual poet in hiding and also a journalist, a humble journalist, features editor for monthly Herald, a newspaper. It's a news monthly. Now, हम आपसे ये जानना चाह रहे थे कि अभी उन्होंने जो कहा कि पार्टीशन के बाद जो मंटो ने लिखा है और कहानियों में आप उनसे मुत्तफिक नहीं हुए कि एक ही कहानी तो बट एक सिंह के अलावा इन्होंने कोई एलैबोरेट नहीं किया कि और ज़्यादा कहानी इन्होंने लिखा था कि नहीं. लेकिन आपने डायरी और मेमोइर्स की बात की, तो आपने वो दर्जा वो देना चाह रहे हैं जो कि आम लोगों तक शायद जिस तरह स्टोरीज उनके पहुँचे हैं, कहानियाँ पहुँची है, वो उस तरह मंटो की डायरीज, मेमोइर्स कम से कम हिंदुस्तान में उस तरह आम नहीं हुआ है.
तो ये तो पब्लिशर्स का और ट्रांसलेटर्स का मसला है.
वो
ना,
ठीक
ये मंटो साहब की
नहीं, हम आपसे मुत्तफिक हैं, हम आपके खिलाफ नहीं बोल रहे हैं. हम ये कह रहे हैं अगर आप जिनके बारे में वो जिक्र कर रहे थे अभी, अगर आप उन चीज़ों को आपने पढ़ा है तो उसका दर्जा आप ये हम लोग क्यों, वाई वी स्टॉक ऑन शॉर्ट स्टोरीज. आई एग्री, लिटरेचर जो है वो महदूद तो नहीं शॉर्ट स्टोरीज तक, हो सकता है वो ज़्यादा मकबूल और आम हो, लेकिन जो मेमोइर्स होता है चाहे किसी का भी हो, चाहे वो आपकी अम्मा जान का हो, लेकिन कहने का मतलब ये है कि जो शॉर्ट स्टोरीज के अलावा जो होता है लिटरेचर, चाहे किसी का भी हो, शेक्सपियर का हो या किसी का, गालिब का हो, किसी का हो, तो उसकी जो मकबूलियत वो दारोमदार मकबूलियत पे दारोमदार नहीं, बल्कि अदीब और क्रिटिक्स पर भी दारोमदार है और एकेडमिक उसका इंटरेस्ट भी है। तो आप इसके बारे में क्या ख्याल रखते हैं? प्लीज़ थोड़ा सा कह दीजिए मेरे इत्मीनान के लिए।
कोशिश करूंगा कि किसी को ये ना पता चलने पाए कि मुझे आपका सवाल समझ में नहीं आया, लेकिन फिर भी जो उड़ती पुड़ती पहुंची है वो ये है कि आप, ऐसा नहीं है, उनके जो उन्होंने बड़े अच्छे मज़ामीन लिखे हैं, जब उन पर मुकदमे चले तो उन्होंने अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू जो बयान किया है वो भी पीस ऑफ लिटरेचर है, उनके जो लेटर्स हैं वो भी पीस ऑफ लिटरेचर, कोई शक नहीं। मैंने सिर्फ कहना है था, और वो भी कोई इतनी बड़ी बात नहीं थी, उसे इतनी ज़्यादा बड़ी बात ना बनाए, कि मुझे ऐसा लगा, ये हो सकता है मेरी लाइल्मी हो, मुझे आई एम ओपन टू करेक्शन, कि जिस तरह से मैं मंटो, जो कि बम्बई में उन्होंने बहुत बरस गुजारे, मैं जब उनकी कहानियाँ पढ़ता हूँ तो मुझे बम्बई के बारे में बहुत कुछ पता चलता है, लेकिन मंटो के आखिरी बरस पाकिस्तान में गुजरे, लाहौर में, कुछ दिनों कराची भी रहे वो, लेकिन ज़्यादातर लाहौर में। मुझे वहाँ के बैकग्राउंड, वहाँ के कल्चरल एम्बियंस पे बेस्ड उनकी कहानियाँ नहीं, मुझ तक तो नहीं पहुँची, मुझे ध्यान नहीं है। पार्टीशन और उसके आफ्टर इफेक्ट वो तो मेरे ख्याल से सरहद के दोनों तरफ थे, तो उन पे तो मुझे उनका लिटरेचर मिला है। जहाँ तक उनके मज़ामीन का ताल्लुक़ है, और ख़ासतौर से जो जब उन पे केस चल रहे थे तो उन्होंने जो लिखा है वो बहुत दिलचस्प और बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, मगर वो उस पे बहस है कि ऑब्स्सीनिटी आप किसे कहते हैं, वल्गैरिटी किसे कहते हैं, फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन क्या है, किन चीज़ों पे क्या एतराज़ किया जा सकता है, क्या ये कहानी वल्गर है या नहीं है, ये ऑब्स्सीन है कि नहीं है, वगैरह वगैरह, ये टॉपिक्स हैं। और बहुत, चूँकि इंटेलिजेंट आदमी तो था ही बेहद, तो उसे भी बहुत इंटेलिजेंटली उन्होंने किया। मुझे कुछ ऐसी ख्याल ये है कि 8-9 बरस जहाँ जिस माशरे, जिस समाज में वो रहे, वहाँ की डिपिक्शन पे मुझे उनकी कहानियाँ नहीं याद आती।
मैं सिर्फ एक चीज़ यहाँ कहना चाहता हूँ जावेद साहब, वो ये है, आई वुड लाइक टू पैराफ्रेज V.S. नायपॉल, जिन्होंने कहा है, और मैं उनसे मुत्तफिक हूँ इस बात पे, कि फिक्शन जो है ना, इट ऑफन रिक्वायर्स अ फिक्स्ड इन्वायरमेंट और अ फिक्स्ड एक्सपीरियंस इन योर माइंड। उसमें से फिक्शन निकलती है, बिकॉज फिक्शन एक यादाश्त पे या एक एक्सपीरियंस पे बेस्ड होती है जो आप प्रोसेस कर चुके होते हैं। कई दफ़ा ऐसा होता है जब आप लगातार एक ट्रॉमा से गुजर रहे हों एक ज़िंदगी में, तो आप उसको कई दफ़ा उसको प्रोसेस उस तरह से नहीं कर सकते, आपको दूसरे फॉर्म्स की ज़रूरत पड़ती है, आपको ट्रैवलॉग लिखना पड़ता है, आपको डायरी लिखनी पड़ती है, आपको मजमून लिखने पड़ते हैं। समटाइम्स यू सीक अ डायरेक्टनेस, you want to write about what has happened in the day exactly for what it is. Sometimes the concrete value of the fact is more powerful in certain circumstances than, say, the multi-dimensional tenderness of a fictional account of it. You know, तो I think ये वजह शायद हो सकती है। मंटो साहब बहुत ट्रॉमे में थे उन सालों में, वो जो उनकी बल्कि मज़ामीन है सारे वो यही हैं कि ना घर है, अब घर आ भी गया है, पैसे नहीं है, शराब नहीं मिल रही, मुकदमा है, ये है वो है, प्रोग्रेसिव के साथ झगड़ा अभी तक चला जा रहा है। और कुछ उन्होंने लेटर्स बना के लिखे, सैटिरिकल लेटर्स टू अंकल सैम जो हैं वो फॉर्मल लेटर्स नहीं हैं, वो दे आर नॉट लेटर्स टू अ फ्रेंड, दे आर अ लिटरेरी एक्सपेरिमेंट, यू नो, एंड दे आर वंडरफुल। सिया हाशिए भी जो हैं, जो उन्होंने पार्टीशन के बारे में भी लिखा है, वो भी तो आफ्टर ऑल उनके वो उन दिनों चल रहा था ना, उनके जहन में था सब। ये अभी 2-3 साल पहले की तो उनकी बात होगी। आजकल कितना टाइम लगता है एक इंसान को एक नॉवल लिखने का अबाउट एन एक्सपीरियंस? 4-5 साल तो निकल ही जाते हैं ना। तो आफ्टर 5 years of partition, Manto Saab was on the door of death.
नहीं, आई अप्रिशिएट दिस पॉइंट। ये सही बात है कि इंसिडेंट को एक्सपीरियंस बनने में वक्त लगता है, और एक इतना डिस्टेंस होना चाहिए कि आपका उससे जो पेन का रिश्ता है, दर्द का रिश्ता है उस इंसिडेंट से, वो टूटा भी ना हो, और इतना डिस्टेंस भी हो गया हो कि आप उसे सही पर्सपेक्टिव में देख सकते हो। ये बिल्कुल सही बात है। लेकिन जहाँ तक ये बात है कि 4-5 साल में वो क्या लिख सकते थे, ये बात आई बाय टोटली, और बहुत इंटेलिजेंट और बहुत उम्दा पॉइंट है ये, आई हैव लर्न। लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम ये कि नॉवल तो लिखते ही नहीं थे, शॉर्ट स्टोरी लिखते थे, एंड ही वाज नोन फॉर राइटिंग सो वेरी फास्ट कि इट वुड टेक हिम एन आवर और सो टू राइट ए शॉर्ट स्टोरी। मगर शायद यही है कि वो तुझसे भी दिल फरेब है गम रोज़गार के, तो वो कुछ उसमें ज़िंदगी उनकी जिस तूफ़ान, जिस आंधी में थी, वो नहीं लिख सके। लेकिन दुख है शायद जिंदा रहते और 5-10 साल तो फिर हमें कुछ और भी बहुत अच्छी कहानियाँ मिलती जो एक दूसरे माशरे, दूसरे समाज जिसकी अखलाकी कदरें कुछ थोड़ी सी मुख्तलिफ थी उस जगह से जहाँ वो पहले रहते थे। वो कुछ अच्छी कहानियाँ नहीं मिल पाई हमें इसलिए कि मौत ने उन्हें हमें बहुत जल्दी, ही was 42 I think. How old? 42 years. At the age of 42, 43, he died. For a writer, it's no age at all.
I think we're absolutely out of time. I don't think we can take any more questions. So बस एक ही बात से ख़त्म करना चाहूँगी कि मंटो की जो एपिटाफ है उन्होंने वैसे तो खुद लिखा था पर उनकी सिस्टर ने जो है उनकी बहन ने वो चेंज करवा दिया और अब जो लिखा हुआ है कि वो ये यहाँ मंटो दफन है जो आज भी ये समझता है कि वो लौहे जहाँ पर हरफ़े मुकर्रर नहीं है तो which means he is definitely not the final word on the face of history. But what Manto really showed us was the beauty as well as the ugliness of a society. So in a way, he contained within himself an entire dialectics of our past, present and future. So he definitely continues to remain Sadabahar and relevant. So thank you so much all of you for coming in and listening in. Thank you so much.